We're back at it. The weekend is in our rearview mirror. It's another work week. It's Monday, 28th day of October, 2024. I am Dan Coons. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. How you doing? It is 43 degrees, which is above normal. Normally this time of the year, on this date, we would be upper 30s. Anyway, quite a bit of, yesterday, Sunday, we hit 60. Had a little bit of rain, little less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, but it was mild and quite sunny. It was pretty nice. We're going to do it all over again today and tomorrow. Going to see quite a bit of sunshine with a lingering chance of rain, and then Tuesday night things are going to change. And starting Wednesday and going all the way through to Friday night, we're going to get some serious rain, folks, with some snow in the upper elevations. Details are coming up. By the way, it's snowing right now on Stevens Pass, but it is not sticking to the roadway yet. But they're also not done with that. We will have news. Quick reminder, this is the last week of daylight saving time. We go back to standard time on Sundays, so we go back 1 hour. Why we set our clocks back in the middle of the night. If we get 25 hours on Sunday, shouldn't we do it in the middle of the day? Anyway, that's just me. I wanted to throw that out there before I forgot. Remember when the Seahawks were 3-0? That was like in September. Now it's almost November. They're not 3-0 anymore. All the prep scores from over the weekend. And if you haven't filled out your ballot yet and you live in Douglas County and you haven't made up your mind on the Douglas County PUD Commissioner race for seat number 1, between Ron Skagen and Matthew Hepner. You'll get to know both of those candidates with our series of interviews. Ron Skagen is the incumbent. Matthew Hepner is a East Wenatchee City Councilman running now for Douglas County PUD. That will come your way in the back half of the program. We begin with our tour. And it is dark, but once we get through the daylight saving thing and it goes away and we go back to standard time on Sunday, that means it'll be light again in the morning. So we'll have earlier light in the morning, but the sun will be going down in like the 4 o'clock hour. So heads up there. Good morning to the Wenatchee Valley. And it's kind of dark, well, because we're still a ways from sunrise. 7:39 this morning will be sunrise. Camera 2 takes us to the Omi Garden camera. We used this last couple of days. That is Rocky Reach Dam, and that is the Baker Flats Industrial Area on the other side there, on the right-hand side of your screen. That, by the way, is one of the locations they're thinking about putting the new multi-sport complex. They need a lot of acreage, and they're thinking about maybe out there. It might be a good place to put it. I don't know. We shall see. Speaking of a lot of acreage, Billy Goat will show you a whole bunch of Okanagan County. They got a few more clouds up there. What a stunning view that is. Those clouds look a little ominous, but they're okay. It's 39 in Omak right now. Nobody is getting rain. There is a little bit of snow, although, coming down in the upper passes. In fact, speaking of snow, check out Dirty Face Mountain, looming above Lake Wenatchee. It got some snow there, and that was overnight snow into this morning, so a little bit of snow on Dirty Face, and it's not that high up in elevation, but it will be melting as the day progresses. No surprise there. I mentioned already it is snowing on Stevens Pass. It is not sticking to the roadway. The snow level is right around 4,000 feet, which is right about Stevens Pass. It's been snowing. It's wet snow. It's been snowing for a couple of hours there. It is not sticking to the roadway, even up at the very tip top of the summit. However, if you're taking the North Cascades Highway, that could be a little dicey today. Well, it is almost November after all. There's a reason they don't keep it open year-round. And in the Idaho Panhandle, at Lookout Pass, they may get a little bit of snow as well. And there'll be another round of snow, by the way, coming in as we get to the weekend, because we're going to get cold. From the National Weather Service, cloudy this morning, sunshine this afternoon. You have to be a little patient, but it'll come. We'll top off at 58, just a slight chance of showers today. Slight chance of showers tonight. Clear skies means chilly temperatures, 37 for the overnight low. Sunshine all day on Tuesday. It is looking good with a high of 57. The clouds will start thickening up Tuesday night. We'll get down to 33, and then starting Wednesday, a slow-moving, and I mean a slow-moving system, is going to bring us rain, and a lot of it. Rain to lower elevations and the potential for some early season snow up in the mountain passes. It's going to rain Wednesday. Snow level will be about 3,500 feet. For the valley, it'll be rain and a high of 48. Wednesday night, rain, 37. Thursday, rain, high of 47. It's not going to be real warm on Thursday. Thursday night, rain. Friday, rain until late afternoon. Then we should be fairly dry Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll go back to sunshine, but those overnight lows are going to be flirting with the freezing mark on a couple of days next week. All right, after a quick 2-minute break, we'll have your Monday morning news. You're watching a Monday morning edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Lula Lagoon Pool and Spa, located on South Wenatchee Ave, has the largest selection of spas and swim spas in town. Stay cool this summer in an artesian swim spa and use it all year long. We enjoy helping families reconnect one spa at a time. Hot tubs are proven to improve sleep and decrease arthritis pain. Our passion is water, so please bring us a water sample, and we will help you diagnose your pool or spa water for free. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, your pool and spa experts.
The family at the Epladolin want to help your loved one feel at ease in their new home environment. Epladolin offers beautiful one-bedroom and studio apartments. Residents enjoy 3 delicious home-style meals a day, laundry service, housekeeping service, and encouragement to make themselves cozy in their new home. Epladolin welcomes your family to come and visit their family. Epladolin, independent and assisted living. They make the complicated easy for you. Call today for a tour.
I'm Keith Gaynor, running for your next 12th District State Senator. It's been a privilege to serve you the past 6 years in the House of Representatives. I believe public safety is a critical issue that affects all of Washington. This should be one of our highest priorities. Washington families are struggling. Housing, food, and gas prices are severely affecting our budgets. We need to find better ways to support our families. Together, we can build a better Washington.
Have you ever played that game, What Would You Rather, where you give 2 options to see what your friend would choose? Well, let's try it. What would you rather? Would you rather have a telemarketer from a foreign call center named David, or a local North Central Washington agent who has been helping folks for over 20 years on Medicare and has 5 offices to serve you, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So, what would you rather? Now give us a call at Springwater Insurance. Our phone number, 509-888-2600.
42 degrees, quite a bit of cloud cover now. It'll be sunny for most of the day today and Tuesday. Tuesday night, here comes a slow-moving system, and we're going to have a lot of rain starting Wednesday and lasting right into the early part of the weekend. It's 7 minutes after the hour. Short-term rentals are back on the docket before Chelan County's Planning Commission. The board is considering updates to the county code that governs rentals shorter than 1 month in unincorporated areas of the county. That's usually geared towards weekend or vacation renters. The STR code has been in place since 2021, and the county's elected commissioners voted earlier this year to review elements, including parking and occupancy restrictions. Those proposals will be heard on November 13th at a public hearing of the Planning Commission. The public, of course, can offer comment. Any new changes to the code would be recommended back to the county commissioners for a final vote. Chelan County continues to have among the highest birth rates in the state of Washington as a proportion of its population. That finding comes from a statewide study of maternal health released Friday by the Office of Financial Management. In 2022, which is the most recent year studied, there were 85.5 births per 1,000 women in Chelan County's population, and that puts Chelan County at second for the highest birth rates in Washington. Chelan, Benton, and Adams counties have consistently boasted the highest birth rates in the state since 2010. More online donors in the Wenatchee Valley have donated to Kamala Harris than to Donald Trump, and they've given more money as well. That's the finding from a Washington Post analysis of donations and voter registration data. The newspaper's interactive map shows there were 804 donors to the Harris or Joe Biden presidential campaign in the Wenatchee zip code over the last 2 years. That gives a total of about $60,000. That's compared to 100 individuals giving about $30,000 to Trump. In East Wenatchee, there were 419 donors for Harris compared to 362 for Trump, with a $10,000 advantage for the Democratic candidate. The Post says in most states across the country, more people have donated online to Harris than to Trump. Voting is, of course, open now. General election is 1 week from tomorrow. And you've seen our reporting on Beaver Dam analogs. That's the human-made water barriers that have been used to restore wetland conditions around Chelan County. Well, they did the same project the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service did in Douglas County, where workers spent a day installing one of the analogs in Rock Island Creek. This time-lapse video was used to capture the work as it went on. Once completed, BDAs like this one will help impound water and return waterways to their historic states. And then one day, the effort hopes to reintroduce beavers to the area to continue the work of restoring the creek without our help. And a Wenatchee luminary marked his 90th birthday on Wednesday among friends. Earl Tilley, the former mayor of Wenatchee, celebrated with the Wenatchee Confluence Rotary. That's where he met with old friends and handed out Paul Harris Fellowships. That's the Rotary Award that recognizes donors and contributors to Rotary causes. He spoke with NCW Life about what the service club has meant for him and his late wife, Barbara.
I'm Earl Tilley. I'm retired. I had 3 jobs in public service. I was in the state legislature in the House for 14 years. Then I took an appointment in the Reagan administration to be the head of Farmers Home Administration. And then a final service was being mayor of Wenatchee. And so I've been retired now since 1999.
Has Rotary been a part of your life during that whole time?
You bet it has. That and my church are my 2 favorite extracurricular activities. I can't count pickleball and biking, probably. I associate it with the second commandment in the Christian faith of service above self and love your neighbor. So the work of Rotary, or fun of Rotary, is helping your neighbors. Paul Harris was the starter of Rotary in 1905 in Chicago. Barbara and I contributed to the Rotary Foundation and received an award back in Evanston, Illinois. So coupled with that and their campaign to eradicate polio from the face of the earth, we had the extra points, so to speak, that allow us to make these presentations to fellow Rotarians or friends. And friendship is what Rotary is really a big item for us. You know, the motto is service above self. And so my recommendation is that if you have any extra time and you feel committed, like you'd like to do something in our community, come to one of our Rotary Club meetings. We meet every Wednesday at noon at the Town Toyota Center, and I guarantee it'll be a free lunch for you.
And that is the news on this Monday. We got a newscast coming your way like we do every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock. The NCW Life Evening News on television at 5, 6, and 10 in these busy times of ours. If you say, I can't watch it at 5, but I can watch it at 6:13 on the internet, you can watch it at 6:13 on the internet. It'll be up and running on our homepage, our Facebook page, our YouTube page. We're out there, baby. We're very easy to find, the NCW Life Evening News, because we think it's important. And if something out there warrants our attention, you get a hold of us. Send us an email. news@ncwlife.com. Sports, and there's quite a bit of it over the weekend. It's next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Want to stay up to date on the latest news in the area? Tired of paying for your news? Download the NCW Life app now. No subscriptions necessary. Get news, weather, sports, and more live as it happens. Available for iPhone and Android in the App Store. Local news at your fingertips. Don't miss the stories that matter to you. Stay connected. Download the NCW Life app now.
During the time I have served as your commissioner, the PUD has paid down more than $700 million in debt. I've worked hard to keep power rates low and utility services reliable. More than 80% of the county residents have access to high-speed fiber. I'm a real believer in local collaboration, in decision-making to get things done on behalf of all residents, and decisions made creating the best outcomes for the most people for the longest period. Thank you for your vote on November 5th.
Global Car Care has the best customer service in the Valley. From the moment you walk in the door, their goal is to help you stay on the road, so you can keep doing what's important to you. Global Car Care certified ASE mechanics stand behind your automotive repairs.
Right now at Les Schwab, it's the deal you've been waiting for, the Score More sales event. Save up to $160 instantly on a wide selection of 4 tires and 4 wheels. Plus, every tire is covered by America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Because nobody stands by their tires like we do. It's a better deal on better tires with the best service in the business. Get more from Les.
16 minutes after the hour, the Buffalo Bills dominated. I mean, they were better at everything that makes up a football game. They rolled over the Seahawks, 31-10. Seahawks committed a season-high 11 penalties, had 32 total rushing yards. They converted on only 14% of their third down conversions, and they saw teammates Derek Hall and Jaron Reed punch each other on the sidelines. It was that kind of game. Hawks remained at home, by the way, for a Sunday afternoon tilt against the Rams, who beat the Vikings on Thursday night. For the rest of the NFC West, there's the Bills and the Seahawks. Cardinals snuck by the Dolphins 28-27. Cowboys' late comeback was enough. 49ers beat Dallas at home 30-24. College football scoreboard, Huskies cannot win on the road. They're really good at home, but they go on the road and they lose. They lost to undefeated Indiana on Saturday 31-17. Unbelievable comeback by the Cougars. A late interception led to a winning touchdown. Washington State beat San Diego State down south 29-26. Idaho took care of Eastern Washington in the Kibbie Dome 38-28. Central Washington for homecoming rolled over Midwestern State, Texas on Saturday night. Big Nine football from over the weekend on Thursday. As you already know, Sunnyside beat Wenatchee. Moses Lake, by the way, clinches the Big Nine regular season title by walloping West Valley 58-0. Davis took care of Eisenhower Eastmont in a non-leaguer over Walla Walla at home on Saturday 52-6. In the CWAC, Othello clinches the regular season title with a victory over Toppenish. East Valley crushed Quincy. It was Prosser over Ellensburg. Ephrata beat Sela. Tri-Cities Prep over Grandview in a non-league CWAC game, but Othello wins the regular season title. More Prep football. Okanagan rolled over Manson 48-8. Liberty Bell took care of Brewster. A lot of blowouts among the smaller schools. In fact, they were all blowouts except 2. Lake Roosevelt and Tenaska was a tight one, and Waterville Mansfield got by Soap Lake. Prep volleyball, non-leaguers across the board. It was Wenatchee over Meade. Moses Lake beat Prosser. Chelan wins the Caribou Trail League regular season title, 3-0 over OMAC in prep volleyball. Prep soccer, Wenatchee has already clinched the Big Nine championship. They'll be hosting the district championship next weekend. They beat Eisenhower. It was West Valley over Eastmont. Davis knocked off Sunnyside. In the CWAC, Prosser wins the CWAC regular season title by beating East Valley. Quincy stays alive, Ephrata beat Grandview. Ellensburg over Sela. Ellensburg will be the number 2 seed in the district tournament. More prep soccer. OMAC shut out Chelan 3-0. It was Tenasket over Pateros and Okanagan 2, Brewster 0. And finally, Wenatchee Wild Hockey, not a good weekend. They lost to Tri-City at home on Friday 6-3, and they lost at Everett 5-4. Wenatchee finds themselves in last place in their conference with just 10 points. They will be hosting Everett Friday at 7 o'clock. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. How about National Chocolate Day for your obscure holiday? I can get into that. We've been eating chocolate as long as somebody said, I wonder if that's good. It is National Chocolate Day, not to be confused with World Chocolate Day. Ooh, that does look good, doesn't it? To make just 1 pound of chocolate, it takes over 400 cocoa beans. And it takes about 5 years for a cocoa tree to be making cocoa beans. So you got to be patient. Approximately 70% of all the cocoa beans comes from West Africa and is raised on small family farms. Let's see, approximately 50 million people worldwide depend on chocolate for their livelihood. If it wasn't for chocolate, 50 million people would be out of work. And of course, as you probably know by now, if you have pets, chocolate can make dogs and cats seriously ill and may even kill them. Back in the early days of civilization, they actually used cocoa beans as currency. Yeah, bring it on, chocolate. I could use the sugar high right now, still waking up. 20 minutes after the hour. Today in history, happy birthday, Fair Harvard. October 28th, 1636, that would mean 388 years ago today, the Massachusetts Bay Colony votes to establish a theological college It would later become Harvard University. Harvard is the oldest institution of higher learning in this country. Their endowment, $51 billion. That's by far the largest of any academic institution anywhere. Harvard alumni, 8 U.S. presidents, 21 Supreme Court justices, 30 foreign heads of state went to Harvard, 188 living billionaires, 369 Rhodes Scholars, 160 Nobel laureates, 48 Pulitzer Prize winners. There's a reason Harvard is 388 years old today. Happy birthday to Lady Liberty. October 28th, 1886, 138 years ago today, President Cleveland dedicates the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. Just a gift from the French. Said, we're making you a statue, here you go. It took us a while to build the pedestal for the statue, but we got it done. Ironically enough, the Statue of Liberty, of course, is a woman. How many women were present at the dedication? 2. The granddaughter of the guy who came up with the idea to begin with, and the wife of the guy who designed it. Those were the only 2 women who actually went to the dedication, even though the Statue of Liberty is a woman. Well, this was 1886. We would eventually get better. Happy birthday, so to speak, of Prohibition. October 28th, 1919, 105 years ago today, Congress passes the Volstead Act over President Wilson's veto, and that paved the way for Prohibition to begin the following January, and as we all know, it didn't work very good. It was 102 years ago today that Benito Mussolini and his black shirts, the fascists, march on Rome and they take over the Italian government. Yep, fascist demonstrators, black shirt paramilitaries. They entered Rome. The Prime Minister, Luigi Facta, wished to declare Rome in a state of siege. The King of Italy, King Victor Emmanuel III, overruled him, and they said, Benito, it's all yours. Benito Mussolini comes to power in Italy, October 26, 1922. For the Italians, that nightmare began, and another nightmare ended. After 10 days, the Cuban Missile Crisis comes to an end, October 28, 1962. Nikita Khrushchev orders the removal of Soviet missiles from Cuba. Kennedy secretly agreed to remove all missiles in Turkey and some in southern Italy in exchange for Khrushchev removing all the missiles in Cuba. They both held up to their word, and the nation breathed a sigh of release. It is all over. Whew. Cuban Missile Crisis comes to an end on this date, 1962, and let's do some birthdays. He was, for a time, in the 1950s and 60s, probably the most famous and popular person on the planet because Jonas Salk led the team that developed the polio vaccine. When I was a kid, you got your polio thing. It was a shot in the arm. Now I think it's just a pill. Jonas Salk, one of the most important scientists ever, was born in this state in 1914, and after we realized that it worked, the polio vaccine would work, he probably didn't have to buy another drink in another bar for the rest of his life. Everybody breathed a sigh of relief. The most popular member of the Seattle Supersonics, the great Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens' Way is the street right in front of Climate Pledge Arena. He coached 2,487 NBA games, more than any other coach in history, 13 times an All-Star, 3-time inductee into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, and he coached the 1979 World Champion Seattle Supersonics, the great Lenny Wilkens. I met him once. He's a class act. He's 87 years old today. Caitlyn Jenner, formerly, well, you know who she used to be a he. Now it's a she. Caitlyn Jenner, decathlete gold medal at the 1976 Montreal Olympics when she was Bruce Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner is now 75 years old today. Bill Gates, last I checked, he was the 3rd richest man in the world for about 25 years. He was the richest man in the world from like 1985 to like 2007 or something. Now he's spending most of his time giving his money away. Bill Gates is 69. Brad Paisley has done something that no other country artist has ever done, 10 consecutive songs to get to #1 of the Billboard chart. That's impressive. Nobody's ever done that before or since. Brad Paisley is 51, and happy 50th to Joaquin Phoenix, one of my favorite actors. He always, whenever he's in a movie, I'm going to watch it. I don't care what the movie is because he's good. Special thanks to Alpine Air for heat and air Call Alpine Air. Winter's coming, folks. Is your system ready to make that transition? You're done with the AC. You're off of that, baby. Now here comes the heat, and you're going to want it, baby. Alpine Air for heat and air. Call Alpine Air. And if it's up in this cattywampus, they'll take care of it. Or maybe you want a brand new one. They'll do that, too. Still to come, an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty. And then for those of you who haven't voted yet, for the Douglas County PUD Commissioner race between the incumbent Ron Skagen and his challenger Matthew Hepner, you'll get to know both of them when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel. You talked about the very first event that you went to, Braden, down in Utah many, many years ago as just a relative kid. You were in your mid-20s, thinking you know everything, because when you're in your mid-20s, you think you know everything. Turns out you didn't know everything. You didn't know almost anything. But yet here you are all of these years later, and you're still going to these think tank events. For what reason? Aren't you the expert?
I think there's huge impact, right? It's consistency. Like once you go to one event, you can't just stop and not continue to go. It's kind of like in life, right? Like you need that constant improvement. You need that constant growth, right? And it happens. Everything's changing, right, in our world all the time, right? Tax codes are changing. Investment philosophies should be changing all the time. There's different strategies that are changing. You need to keep up to date with everything that's going on, right?
It's like state licensed professionals who have to do a certain amount of continuing education every year because things change.
Right, but that's, and that's a good point that you have, the tests that you have to stay up to date with,
sure.
But also just in life and how things actually really work, those things are constantly changing. So you need that constant improvement. It affects your personal life, your business life, your family life, your relationship, your health life, everything, all of these things. And so continuing to be impacted by people and people that have really, really good minds and getting put in those positions, it's challenging, but it's a life improvement that it's a constant practice that I think really highly successful people, they all do it. They all have coaches and they're all a part of these groups, right? So we want to offer that to our people and the people that we help and the people that we serve as well.
I'm Jen Mueller. Watch for my show, I Cook, You Measure on NCW Life. It's part cooking instruction, part entertainment, and all about connecting over food and wine with your favorite Northwest athletes.
Watch I Cook, You Measure with Jen Mueller Mondays at 1, Wednesdays at 2, Fridays at 11 a.m., and Saturday and Sundays at 10:30 p.m. right here on the NCW Life channel.
Hey there, folks. Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, that lighted cross in South Wenatchee and the planned one in Leavenworth, they got me thinking. Now, this is America, where our Constitution guarantees freedom of religion. It does not allow promoting one religion over the other. No, it doesn't. And now, how would the cross supporters feel if our Jewish folks wanted to put up a huge lighted Star of David overlooking the valley? Well, how about it if our Muslim devotees built an illuminated crescent and star that we had to look at every night? At least those two faiths have some justification in saying they want to stand up against persecution, where we of the Christian faith really do not. No, we don't. This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Another fall sports season is upon us. Yes, we'll be talking about Eastmont football, but also volleyball and girls soccer. Be sure and join us for the Eastmont Wildcats all season long right here on the NCW Life channel, your local TV station.
Coverage is presented by Alpine Air Heating and Cooling, Kennedy Real Estate Group, Les Schwab, Sangster Motors, Save Mart, Together for Youth, and Valley Tractor.
Bob's Classic Restaurant and Distillery, established in 1987, where we concentrate on what we do best, creating excellent food, exciting drinks, great customer service, and an imaginative atmosphere to craft an excellent dining experience for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shareable or not, that's up to you. Bob's Classic dishes are handcrafted and full of flavor. Enjoy the experience at Bob's Classic with your family and friends today.
Welcome to the Gilded Lily home, where something extraordinary is waiting. Fall has arrived at the Gilded Lily. Luscious colors of rust, orange, and gold lead you throughout the entire store. Gourmet foods to delight your guests. Stylish linens, handcrafted jewelry. The Gilded Lily home, where you can step in for inspiration and leave with beautiful items for your home, your kitchen, your lifestyle.
Jefferson Robbins with NCW Life. Even if this were not a presidential election year, voters in the Wenatchee Valley would still have some pretty important choices to make. Among the important local offices up for election is that of Douglas County Public Utility District Commissioner. That's the agency that, if you live in Douglas County or work there, they keep your lights on, they keep your fiber internet flowing. It's a nonpartisan office. 2 candidates are on the ballot. We have challenger Matthew Hepner and incumbent Commissioner Ron Skagen. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I want you folks, although you may be known around the Valley for things you've done in the past, to introduce yourself to our viewers and voters as if you'd never been to their door before. You're door knocking. Matthew, we'll start with you since you're number 1 on the ballot. You have 1 minute to tell me what you would say to a voter to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jefferson. Hi, my name is Matthew Hepner. I'm running for Douglas County PUD Commissioner Position 1. I'm currently elected to East Wenatchee City Council. I've been on council seven years. I'm a firm believer in term limits, and I want to be able to continue to serve my community in the industry that I know the best. I started my study in the electrical industry at the age of 19 in the United States Marine Corps as an aviation electrician. After my tour and a year in Afghanistan, I came home and I started the apprenticeship here in 2006 with Schmidt Electric for my 01 journeyman's license. And then in 2015, I became the executive director of the Certified Electrical Workers of Washington, where I represent 12,000 electrical workers statewide, and I've got to work on policies that are around apprenticeship opportunity, job creation, economic development, and energy policy.
Thank you, Matthew. And Ron, introduce yourself as if no one has ever heard of you before.
My name is Ron Skagen, and first, Matthew, thank you for your service. I have 2 military boys, and my dad is a World War II vet. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. I'm a 4th generation Douglas County resident. I lived here most of my life, other than about 10 years between college and a couple of jobs. I started my career in the tree fruit industry. My family had a business. I then gravitated toward banking. In the last 10 years, I've had a consulting business, and I'm the sole person doing that. I still have a large client in my consulting business. I've been a PUD commissioner for 18 years. I've been motivated to serve the community. That's part of my DNA. My dad died at a very young age. When he was 39 and I was 15. And I benefited from service and help from others, and I felt I needed to do the same. So I've been on the Community Foundation Board for 10 years, YMCA Board for 10 years, ran a school levy, lots of youth programs.
And we've hit your minute.
Good, I'm done.
I appreciate the introduction, Ron.
Thank you.
I want to stick with you for your first question. It's a 2-minute answer, and you can fill up that time or not as you need to. You've been doing this since 2007. What do you think is the most important duty of a Douglas County PUD commissioner?
You know, a person needs to be aware that no commissioner has more power or authority than the other. So you need to work collaboratively with those on your team. You need to be engaged with and be a good listener, working with the other 2 commissioners and the manager. Need to study the issues, be to the best you can. Time can be a limitation. I think for me, The biggest thing right now is to recognize what a PUD is, and it's Public Utility District. And I think that's lost by some in our community. It's owned by the public. The PUD was formed through the benefit of the Grange and initiative number 1, and it was because the rural people in the state were not getting electrical service. And I'm motivated to keep that value forefront in our minds. If anybody's going to get a good deal, it needs to be the low end, the lower half of our society, not the top end. We want to serve everybody, but we need to look after the underserved. Douglas PUD has always done that. Point out broadband service. We were one of the first to do wholesale broadband 20 years ago. We're 85% served. It's interesting that when we started this, we rolled it out to the rural part of the county, not East Wenatchee, because there was some level of broadband in East Wenatchee at that time, if you can call it that. We're 85% covered. That, I think we're the leader in the PUD world. People don't even talk about it. But we went to Bridgeport, Waterville, Mansfield first because they needed it. And that's on the electrical side, we have learned that we have some risk associated with Wells Dam especially, and the changing in the flow of the river and weather. And we've taken precautions to make sure the generation from Wells Dam is here to benefit the citizens of Douglas County first. And that's a real important thing for us to pay attention to. So it's our DNA, who we are.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
And the same question to you, Matthew. From your perspective, what's the most important duty of a Douglas PUD commissioner?
So I would agree with everything that Ron just said. You know, making good decisions, making sound decisions, whether it's a decision to be risk averse, which definitely does have its place and time in the decision-making process, but also when to take action. And I think there's a lot of actions that are coming up. There are a lot of changes to the economy nationwide that has profound impacts on the grid. And Douglas County, we should be prepared for the benefits of the constituents of Douglas County to be prepared for that change.
I'll stick with you, Matthew, for the next question. One of the things that Douglas County PUD has done is branched out a little bit from power generation. All PUDs have done this over time, into hydrogen production. Up to 80 megawatts would be produced at the new pilot facility out toward the Baker Flats area. Right now, I think the cost is at roughly $30 million. This was something the PUD pursued. You were not commissioner at the time. Is this a strategy that you agree with, pursuing hydrogen production?
I definitely like the gumption that they had. I like that that the PUD was aggressive in this space. Regarding the fuel station, I believe they may have put the cart before the horse. I'm a big proponent of hydrogen, but there are some concerns. Hydrogen takes a huge amount of electricity to generate. We might be the only standalone hydroelectric generating facility with hydrogen capacity around right now. There was a Centralia project that failed, that went under because they needed 300 megawatts and they couldn't find it. So if we're looking to be in a hydrogen ecosystem, are we currently on an island? And then there's a large project in the Tri-Cities, Atlas Agro, which is also looking for power. I hope they get it. Those would be great jobs to have here. And, you know, Douglas County PUD built that project on the high road, you know, putting local electricians to work, tradespeople from all over, and that was greatly appreciated for those jobs. But I do want to see how the market responds to hydrogen, because I think we're going to be asked the question of what is more valuable, hydrogen or electricity, and the electricity that it takes to make. Got a great tour of the hydrogen facility and was interested to find that they're actually using direct current or DC power when we're generating an AC. So that means we're shipping AC power over, rectifying it, breaking it down to DC. And whenever you have a transfer of power like that, you have probably a 20%-ish energy loss. So if there was a way to generate in DC and go directly there, I think we could, you know, increase the impact of the hydrogen that we're using and the electricity that we're able to sell.
And just to clarify something on your answer, I think you said you were questioning the creation of a filling center or of a fueling center, and that there's one that's being put in at the Douglas PUD headquarters, separate from the production facility. So I think that's what you're mentioning.
Correct. And that the gas fueling station, there's not very many vehicles in the entire state that can use that.
Sure.
But we definitely have it as a landmark, and it's marquee, and we'll see how it plays out.
Ron, the same question to you. The hydrogen pilot project is underway, not online yet, but are you happy with the decision that you made and confident that it's going to bring something back to the PUD?
I am, and so it's a common misunderstanding that the economics is based on filling fuel cell cars. That's not the economics. We're spending over $400 million reworking our turbines at Wells Dam. We're turning them on and off every 4 seconds because we're a balancing authority. Those big machines do not like that. So our motivation with hydrogen is primarily to extend the life of the turbines at the dam, and that's very important for the grid. I would say that, so far we have 5 megawatts. We've approved a second 5 megawatts. Our first year cash budget for next year is positive, 1.5 million. And that is because the value of the hydrogen, which is mostly not sold here, it's mostly sold in California, is so high. So it's a good thing to do. It is a pilot. It will be good financially. It'll extend the life of the dam. And we need to be willing to be innovators. And I just say, people don't know this, but 10, 15 years ago, I'd like to add, back up. The 25, 30 million we spent, half of that's been paid for by the state grants. We didn't count on that, but that's been good. And if we get the production tax credit from the feds, it'll pay 100% of our operating costs. So it's a good economic thing. About 15 years ago, we spent about $10 million in exploring wind generation in the Withrow area. And we should be willing to do venture outlook and experiment. We have a wind project in Tri-Cities. We should be willing to do that. And this is a reasonable approach to help the economy get reduced carbon. We're not generating electricity, but we are taking it at the time that it's more abundant. If someone plugs in, I got to hurry up. If someone wants to plug in an electric car, if we have 85% electric vehicles, we're in trouble. If some of those use fuel cell, we're in better shape because we're harvesting electricity when it's lower cost and at our convenience. I could talk more about this, you don't have time. It's fascinating.
I'll stick with you for the next question, Ron, if I could. Recently, the PUD commissioners voted on a new rate schedule that will increase the cost of power for ratepayers in Douglas County. The average residential customer can expect to see about a $3 increase in monthly power bill starting in 2026, up to about $10 a month by 2030. I know there were market demands on why the commission made that decision, but can the PUD, and should the PUD explore ways to reduce that burden on ratepayers? Can ratepayers expect a cut in their utility bills?
I think one of our important tasks is to be truthful about our finances. And everybody would like to cut rates. Everybody would like to have lower rates. Our average electric bill in Douglas County is $60. My son lives in Kirkland. It's $400, and he has natural gas for heat and water. So our rates are very low, and that is not the issue. The issue is that when we run out of our surplus power, our rates will go up by 2 to 3-fold, and that is coming. And so we have to prepare for that eventuality. Hopefully it's 30 years from now, 40 years from now. But what's going to happen is we have reduced sales. About half of our revenue comes from surplus power sales. And it's not half our electricity because we're selling out of market, out of county, 3 times what we're selling it here. As that declines and we're growing in the lowest rate category in residents, we have a problem. And we have to prepare for it. It's not fair to wait for some future commission to say, oh, by the way, now you got to raise rates 25% every year because we have not planned. And the other thing with that is we have to build our reserves. We have some very significant risks with that dam that could be very costly, up to $1 billion. We have to start building capital reserves for that. So I think it's not being truthful to tell customers we can do less. We are already the lowest rates in the state. And quite frankly, they should be hearing that we're probably going to be raising rates about 5% per year for about the next 20 years. That should be the baseline expectation. We'll still be one of the lowest. Chelan PUD has the ability to be the lowest because 75% of their power is surplus. So they have 3 dams, 2 big ones, 1 small. But we have to take care of our own financial order. These are multi-generation assets. We have to take care of it for the future.
And Matthew, your thoughts? Can the PUD be exploring ways to reduce that burden on ratepayers? And how do we do that if, as Ron says, the formulas are weighted in favor of rates going up over time?
You know, I think that's where Ron and I, probably align on the majority of issues. But I think the strategy to enable that, to lock in rates for residents, is probably where we differ. I would, want to take more of a coalition approach to locking in rates. Bringing in allies, working with the state legislature, the federal government, to find avenues and pathways to lock in rates, not reduce rates. I mean, honestly, we're never going to go back. But if we can, take a snapshot in time and keep that for as long as possible, and keeping those rate increases at the smallest we can for as long as we can, is going to be a benefit to all people in Douglas County. I think that's something Rod and I would probably agree with. Now, how we go on about doing that, I think looking into generation so we can have that surplus power, and how we would procure new generation, as well as we have to also address the capacity of the grid and transmission and distribution systems. So we can't just throw energy onto the grid and start selling it if the grid can't hold the energy. So the transmission system is basically the bucket that we stick our electricity in. So we need to make sure that our bucket is in good repair and also is large enough to hold new generation coming onto the grid.
Well, my next question actually went to power generation, and I'll stay with you for this one, Matthew. So Douglas PUD through Wells Dam historically can produce up to 840 megawatts. That's at peak through Wells Dam. Since we're talking about a need for more power and increasing costs, does Douglas PUD need to move into other alternative generation sources? Ron, you mentioned wind power. Grant County is looking at small volume nuclear power sometime in the future. Are those areas, Matthew, that you think the Douglas PUD should be exploring?
Absolutely. And when it comes to generation opportunities, I'm quite agnostic. Just let's get the electrons on the grid. Whether it's fusion, like I think Chelan is also looking at. There's fission and fusion are both options. There's solar, there's wind. There is a proposed solar project on Badger Mountain. There's also a pump storage proposed project on Badger Mountain as well. So any of those options can work. The question is which one's going to pan out economically for Douglas County. And by that I mean we get the most electrons with a bait 24 hours a day. Solar is great until nighttime comes, which happens every day. So what kind of resources can we have that are going to be 24 hours a day? And that's when you start narrowing it down to fission and fusion. Unless you're pairing those renewables with energy storage device, whether that's batteries or pump storage.
And Ron, I come back to you for the same question. Should PUDs be pushing, Douglas County PUDs specifically, be pushing into these kind of alternative generating sources?
Yes, but very carefully. So I'm old enough to remember WHOOPS. Do you remember WHOOPS?
I know the acronym.
Yeah, well, 5 or 6 nuclear plants built on this massive growth anticipated, largest bankruptcy and municipal bankruptcy in the history of the country in 1983. So we have to not get the cart in front of the horse. We have to be very careful. Now, those are large plants and they were mismanaged, but public entities do that a lot. So I say yes, we look at everything. We should be tipping in and we should be offloading risk to the large users first. And by the way, the data centers are interested in that. Microsoft is into nuclear, and our data centers are agreeable to that. So we don't have to take on that risk. We can manage it, we can distribute it. I agree we need to beef up our distribution so we can handle that, but we should not be buying very expensive, long life generating assets for these large national and multinational companies. And they are willing to do it, so we just need to help them. Conceptually, I think solar right now may be the most interesting for us because we have the dam it's a run-of-river dam, but we can back it up a little bit. So if we had some solar that we could use in conjunction with the dam, a share of that would feel like it's base load. So that's something we're interested in, but there's a lot of public opposition to that. So that's going to require a robust public process. It'd be best if it was in Badger Mountain area or in our county, because we have the transmission assets and we'd make revenue from that. So that's a lower cost outlay, and it's about a 20-year asset, something we could justify. We're interested, and we need to be participating. I'm on Energy Northwest group, and they're looking at, they have modular, we're not buying any of the resources, but we should be looking at all of those things. But there is something we should also be considering for long term, and I'm going to run out of time. Do you want me to say it?
I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Let me bring up something that, or come back to something you both bring up, which is the Badger Mountain Solar Project. I do want to point out that's been kind of put on pause or on hiatus surrounding concerns around whether indigenous groups were properly involved and informed. There's also the question of sage grouse habitat on Badger Mountain, so solar power may be a long way away at that particular site. I do want to ask Ron about something else you brought up, which is data centers. And Douglas County PUD has had as policy a moratorium on directly supplying power to data centers. Data centers now are moving into the AI area. There's a huge demand for electricity in that vicinity. Is the Douglas County PUD leaving money on the table by not servicing any longer those very large volume customers?
We have used up all of our transmission capacity for the large data centers, so they have not slowed down. They're kind of bidding against the last chunk that's available. So not giving them output from wells has not slowed them down. I want to back up and point out, when we built Wells Dam, the risk was on utilities in the Seattle area. So we didn't have to we could never have done it otherwise. And they got the power, most of it, for a long time. Eventually, now we have the risk, but we get the power. We do not have to put the county at risk to do this stuff. Microsoft's a $4 trillion company. They're working with a large energy company to restart that 9 Mile Island nuclear plant. They have the money. They are willing to do it. And so we can help them, but we do not need to put the county at risk.
And Matthew, yourself, AI again is a going concern right now. Could the PUD be making more return by offering to service those large volume data centers?
That's a very complicated question to answer in 2 minutes. But first I want to back up a little bit. When we're talking about the grid and energy demands on the grid, there's been a lot of finger pointing at data centers and AI, and it's not just that. I mean, it is it's EVs, it's hydrogen, it's electrification policy, it's data centers, it's AI, it's Snapchat, it's the fact that the modern economy is based off electricity. So like I said before, we've literally outgrown our grid. So Washington State currently uses, or produces roughly 25 gigawatts. By 2035, we're going to need literally double that, statewide. So I think the fact that all of us, all the PUDs, all the utilities, are going to need to be getting together, finding out ways to increase the capacity on the grid to put that new generation on there. Now, when it comes to those industrial load customers, if it's going to be profitable for Douglas County, and not just the PUDs, but is it profitable? Does it make good economic sense for the county commissioners, just the county of Douglas, or the city, or the Parks District, or those other districts, and the community and that tax base? We need to look at that, because there's a huge amount of income that comes from those data centers into the valley.
And I know there was more that you both probably wanted to talk about. I'm going to disappoint you and move directly to our closing. I'm going to start with you, Matthew, in a 1-minute answer, if you could. Why should people vote for you for Douglas County Commissioner? So Douglas County PUD Commissioner.
Thank you. So again, my name is Matthew Hebner. I'm running for PUD Commissioner. I've spent a lifetime in the electrical industry. The 3 main things that I want to do if elected is first start by locking in rates for customers however we can, building coalitions to do that. Second, investing in transmission capacity and distribution capacity. Third, our generation resources. And then looking at conservation efforts. So these would be efforts like windows and insulation in your homes, Chelan PUD has done a really good job of this. This is also, if you have like a swamp cooler air conditioning system, this will be moving into mini splitless duct systems that are more efficient. This is a way actual consumers, residents can actually decrease the amount of electricity and decrease their bill. So there's a lot of state grants and there's money on the table to go and do this. And those are the kind of wins we should be bringing home to the people of Douglas County.
Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Ron, 1 minute. Why should people vote for you for PUD Commissioner?
Well, first I want to clarify, the data centers that you're referring to, they're here. And they're getting all that they want. So that's not an issue. I think the PUD world, energy world, is very tense right now. We have a lot of adversaries, not enemies. We have a lot of competition for what we have. And I think it's extremely important that we protect our resources so that the customers, the residents in Douglas County, keep the low rates. 30% of the citizens in this county do not own the home they live in. The low rates are really important. And I agree with Matthew on the conservation. We spend $500,000 on that a year, and we've hired a consultant to help us find other things that we can do in conservation. And that is a good, with the rates being so high right now, that makes more sense. Douglas PUD is 200 employees. Chelan County is 800 employees. There's a lot of differences between the utilities, and we should keep that in mind as we make comparisons.
Well, Ron Skagen, Douglas County PUD Commissioner, Matthew Hepner, the challenger for that seat. I appreciate you both coming in to sit down with us today.
Thank you.
Jefferson.
You're watching the NCW Life channel.
At Abby's, it's kind of simple. We're not rocket scientists. We just make great pizza. When you're ready for traditional values, time with your family, and a great meal, you're invited to Abby's. Order at abbys.com. Our family is here for your family. It's fall. Want a great value that doesn't involve pumpkin spice? Try Abby's Barbecue Chicken Pizza. Save and enjoy a pizza with loads of quality toppings to the edge. Your taste buds and your wallet will thank you. Enjoy Abby's October special at a very special price.
Here's your coffee. That'll be $5.
Thanks.
Oh, it's only $5.
Oh, I like paying double.
Why?
I've always paid more.
You wouldn't pay double for coffee. So don't pay double on your heating bill. Cut your heating bills by up to half when you switch to a heat pump or ductless mini split and get cash back from Chelan PUD plus federal tax credits. Learn more at chelanpud.org/save.
Whether you're building from the ground up or transforming your space with a custom remodel, One Way Construction is your trusted partner in creating a home that's uniquely yours. Your dream home is just a call away. Schedule your free consultation and let's build something amazing together.
When you've been in business for 40 years, it's because you understand change and you put members first, always. Now Works is announcing a change in their membership model. Up to 6 people on one membership that you can mix and match. The more people, the bigger the discounts. Introducing the Works Shared Membership Model. One membership, friends and family and flexibility. Works, the cleanest, friendliest, most helpful gyms you and your friends will ever join.
Well, as the National Weather Service was predicting, the clouds are already starting to roll on out of here. We'll have quite a bit of sunshine for the next couple of days. Big changes, though, really come Wednesday morning and last through the rest of the week from the National Weather Service. One more look at your forecast. Clouds are already starting to thin out. We'll see quite a bit of sunshine today. We'll top off at 58. That's just a little bit above normal for this time of the year. Slight chance of rain tonight, clear, 57 for the overnight low. We do it all over again on Tuesday, right about 56 or 57 for the afternoon high. Lots of sunshine. While you're sleeping Tuesday night, the clouds will be rolling in. You're going to wake up Wednesday with lots of clouds and rain, especially Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday night, rain. Thursday, and I didn't mention this at the top of the show, Thursday's Halloween. Halloween, if you're going out trick-or-treating and ghosting and gobbling, you're going to get wet. Sorry, folks, with some snow in the upper elevations. And that's it for us. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.